Hello and welcome to another episode of the Manufacturers Hub podcast, the podcast where we're talking to businesses throughout UK manufacturing. Today, I'm joined with Charlie Lane from XD Innovation. XD Innovation are a engineering and manufacturing software company. They specialise in things like SOLIDWORKS and Dassault Systèmes software. So welcome on, Charlie.
Yeah, thank you very much, Rich. Good to be here. Been looking forward to getting on this podcast with you, and been an advocate of the hub for, when was it, just nearly a year now. Been working with you guys, so yeah, glad to be here.
Yeah, so it's been a little while since you joined. Obviously, straight away kind of saying that, yeah, you support what we're doing, and I say a lot of the business on the hub as well are kind of really the businesses you'd be working with, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. With the line of work we do, we deal with any business within engineering and manufacturing. And within that, you've got a lot of machine shops, businesses like that, which I know are a big part of the hub, which make it up, because I keep up to speed with who's on there, who's been welcomed, and who you're talking about. And really, wherever there's a engineering manufacturing challenge, requirements, software or consultancy, we try to bring these companies value when we get the opportunity. So. Yes.
I like the fact, obviously, we just before we put on record, you're saying about you're speaking, saying that you quite often look at the chat and the chat portal in there and making sure who's joined and who's introing themselves in the chat behind it.
Yeah, well, I think it's important because I joined the group for a reason. I joined it to find a good avenue to talk to like-minded people and people in the industry. And of course, if there's a good conversation, we could end up partnering or working together. But it's just been a good place to go to because everybody's wants that ecosystem. They want to have those conversations, and it's not all about products, it's just all about industry. I talked to one of the people in your industry just about manufacturing execution systems in machine shops. I just got a nice bit of feedback from that. But then there's other people who are they're working with us as well, directly working with us from being members of the group. And I think, for anyone listening, I think it's important for your members, when you see new people coming in, just say hello. I make a point of, sometimes I call them and welcome them, say, nice that you're on the hub. We do this. What do you do? Because that's what it's all about, right? Collaboration, learning, maybe find opportunities for each other. You never know. So.
Exactly. And this is the whole reason why we do it in the first place, even with podcasts. It's all about awareness. It's just not necessarily about just selling stuff and just trying to sell. It's literally just being made aware, right? Look, I'm Charlie. This is what I do. And that's it. If they want to come to you, they can come to you and find out more. But it's just making that kind of awareness and that intro.
Yeah, and there's a lot of 6 degrees of separation in this industry because we get involved in some crazy stuff here at XDI. We're delivering into some massive projects, like defense stuff. We're delivering into OEMs in the car industry. This is with our services and our consultancy. But with our software, we could be selling a single seat of SolidWorks to somebody, but we might find out about an engineering requirement over here, which has actually worked for that guy. But I've sold him or her some software. I can help them put it to use and make revenue, which adds to the value we can bring to the client as well. So I think that's what's important, is that everybody can look out for each other a bit and find opportunities, because we know it's not the easiest industry to find working, right? It's not as straightforward as it could be. So
it certainly has its challenges, and I think that we need to be more, more helpful. So I think sometimes we need to be looking at less competition and more how we can help each other. Because I believe there's massive gains in just working with each other. I say you might be too busy one time and you could pass it on to another company, but they can pass it back. That collaboration works, doesn't it?
It's important, and you hear a lot. You read a lot about like the things Andrew Wilson says about British manufacturing. We should all be proud of our manufacturing heritage and what we got, and although what's happened over the years, but there's an awful lot to go out there for everyone. Yes, there's competition, but we all know collectively the UK, we're not the competition. It's everything else coming in. What's the competition? So by working together, we can probably unify a bit more and help each other out, because the challenge is the same for all the businesses up and down the UK. So.
How do you help companies on the day-to-day with what you do?
So to be very, very high level with it, we have, I'll give 3 examples because we have 3 revenue streams, right, which probably just articulates it. So we have software solutions, so we can supply everything from CAD right through to manufacturing execution. So the whole suite of software you would need with product lifecycle management being a very big part of that, so your traceability, your control, your revisions, all that, which is critical to new product innovation. So we have software solutions to suit all that, from basic drafting in CAD to, composite simulation for ply layup for a wing or something. The capability is huge. So we have that. Then we have consultancy as well. So we do everything from digital transformation consulting, so that can be quite a big piece of work where the team go in and we consult with the business, and then the outputs can be digital roadmaps for a company, how they go from A to B, the challenges and what they need to do. And then we have our delivery on services. So that's where we can deliver large projects or implementation of tools, or we can support. So, for example, we support companies, big SIs, people like Capgemini, IBM, people like this. We will go support them on projects because we have a very strong skill set in our team. But we can also lead those big engagements as well. So, without sounding crazy, there's some big companies in defence and automotive where we're working directly on delivery as well. So that's kind of what we do as a business. And I think what's important for people to know is, of course, we're a commercial business. All businesses are commercial, right? We've all got to keep the lights on. But ultimately, what we're really interested in is, no matter how big the challenge or how small the challenge, we just want to have a chat about it. And if we think we can help you solve that challenge, that's great. And if we have a chat and we can't help you solve that challenge, then we've had a good networking opportunity. And we've learned a bit more for another day. So that's really the approach, right? It's as simple as that.
So I find, obviously, so there is a lot of challenges, obviously, in the industry, and some of them is being, say, like having AutoCAD and having your software, having your spreadsheet somewhere else, and connecting with ERP. There's definitely kind of like I see, even from me working in other industries as well and doing the hub, is there's always this challenge of connecting all of the pieces of the puzzle.
Yeah, huge integration or interoperability or whatever you want to call it, but it's probably one of the most common topics that comes up. It's also it can be one of the most complex, right? And that's the problem with it, because you've got different vendors. We do a lot of integrations to ERPs. Some vendors are nicer than others, making it how easy or hard it is. But you've got, it's always that's very common. The other one, which I'll be honest, the most common challenge we find with nearly everybody is change management. I'm sure you can vouch for that. But that's the one we found that, regardless of the scale of the business, no matter how big the business, how small the business is, it's always a challenge, and it's almost a constant challenge. It's almost continuous. But that's a very common thing which we find.
I say it's people want to run it differently to ours, don't they? All the time. I mean, especially being if it's an older company as well, and something they get new people where they want to completely change the way that it's run. I mean, sometimes yes, it can be a benefit. You might find people that the new people coming into kind of management are looking into better systems and kind of you link things together.
Yeah.
So I think it can be a better reason, but then again, they still might be kind of suited to what they've always done in the past.
It's hard, right? And I think it's a representation of where the industry's at the moment. We know we need more people in manufacturing. We know there's a generation aging out, and we know a lot of our skills are going to go out the door with them, and the skills exist in their head and not in a system or documentation or a process, right? So this is what we see a lot of, and so you can understand in that generation. So I know what I'm doing. I don't need this change management process because I know. But the fact is, when they're gone, they won't know, and that's where the problems come. And this again is quite a popular theme we hear from people about knowledge capture, right? Knowledge capture, digitization. Think of the work instruction, the digitized work instruction, which updates every time you release a new design on the product. The work instruction updates. Yeah. So although the guy who's been doing it for 25 years would be like, what's all this about? The less skilled person will go, oh, actually, we do that differently now. It's a different tool. But and that's kind of where it's going, we think. But yeah.
I find it hard as well, especially with, like, to say, making sure that changes or revisions of drawings are definitely done, and say people going back to old revisions all the time, and it's knowing if you go to this one place and everything's always going to be up to date. It's definitely a challenge. I see it all the time. Is that people have been making things to the wrong revisions, or um,
It's it happens a lot. It does happen a lot, and it is avoidable, right? With if people go on a journey to address it and make the relative investments, and time being the biggest one, is the time to do it. You can eliminate that, and if you do eliminate that, there's cost savings to be had, and efficiencies, and one of the other things which is not so easy to measure is frustration, right? People get those situations create frustration in the team and management, and if you can avoid that, that's only a positive thing for the kind of untangible benefits of getting that in order. But yeah, it's hear it every week in, week out.
So I find, I say, one thing that frustrates me is going from you're going from like a design department and down to like an assembly, just saying, and you've got all the electrical and mechanical bombs, and knowing that the drawing, obviously they've done everything from that drawing is then on the bomb. Nothing's lost. If anything's lost on there, then it's not being made as well.
Well, that's it, and it's about God, it's almost like you've read my mind a bit there, Rich. But the bill of materials again is a massive challenge, right? Especially when you've got multi bombs to consider coming from your ECAD, and you've got your mechanical CAD and everything else. And one of the areas which we talk a lot about, and we go into quite a lot, is the manufacturing bill of materials. So you've got your release product, you've got your engineering bill of materials coming out, great. And that's a pretty standard process, I would say, with most companies. Is you get to that E-bomb, where things go into cowboy country is when it comes to that manufacturing bill of materials, because it's managed in so many different ways. But again, as you'll know, that's when an awful lot more comes onto it, right? Additional fixings, Loctites, processes, and this isn't always captured in the manufacturing bill of materials, which means you don't actually know how much that product costs you anymore to make, because you're not actually accounting for that. You're not, and this is a really interesting area, and we talk a lot about it. And I was at a conference in late January with Dassault Systèmes in Marrakesh, which was a nice place to be at the end of January.
Marrakesh is lovely.
But there was a lot of talk about the bill of materials, that journey from the engineering bill of materials to the manufacturing bill of materials, when you've got to manage configurations, and they've put quite a lot of time into that for the industrial sector, which I was pleased to see, because it's got to be a seamless workflow to be effective. So
this is kind of one of the visions I had originally with the hub as well, starting the hub, and when I went with Kevin as well, and said about some of it came from like bill of materials, and having those separate quotes at the end of the bill of materials on each product, kind of as being if it's a bought-in product, and it was a case of I want to know those alternative suppliers. So alternative manufacturers. So that's when obviously the hub kind of come around of, right, we know who exactly makes this, and this. So then when it comes to the bill of materials, you've got these alternative suppliers that you can put in the bill of materials.
Exactly that, right? And that's part, again, when I mentioned about PLM earlier, the product lifecycle management, that's a part of it, because the supply chain management is a part of it, because you've got those make or buy instances as you're talking about. But then you've got to be able to manage. It might be that this is your preferred supplier, but they've had an issue, they're out of stock, you can't use them on this particular reason, so you've got to go to this supplier where there's a difference in the price, but that still needs to be consumed in your bill of materials and in your output for your costing. So like we talked about earlier with supply chains going all the way down, it's the same with the product in the business. It starts way down here, and the story goes all the way through that product's life, whether it be a disruption in supply chain, a different material, or you've got it halfway down the line and there's suddenly an engineering change. There's an awful lot to consider.
So how does it kind of work as well? So you've got like a 3D experience as well. So how does your 3D experience work? So basically you have what they call a 3D experience platform, and that's from Dassault Systèmes. So think of it like a mobile phone. I don't know if they'll like me using this analogy. It's what I make myself. You've got your phone, right? Your phone is a platform. And on your phone, Rich, and on my phone, there's lots and lots of apps, right? Lots and lots of useful apps. So basically, the 3D experience sits there, and then all the tools and the applications sit within it. And you can also connect
non-Dassault tools to it. So you can be
Right.
working with NX, you can be working with Creo, different CAD vendors can connect to it. So you can do your work, and then in the platform, that's where the data's unified, and you can work in the model. And then within that, you could very simply just be managing your engineering data in this platform. But it also has the potential, like with a phone, you add different apps to your phone and it does different things, right? But then it can also then bring in the ability for your traceability, simulation, or physics. So computational fluid dynamics, FEA, which is obviously big in your world, thermal simulation. It can manage all that. And then you can bring in the manufacturing bits, all your manufacturing process data, digital twins, manufacturing execution. So that platform sits across it as what they call a single source of truth. And I think the biggest value it brings is what you talked about, is if you're in there, so if me and you are working there together on a model, we are working on the latest release, the only version you can see and mess around with. You can interrogate revisions, but there's only ever one single source of truth for that product's life, and you can collaborate on it. So that's the analogy I use for it, which probably isn't great. But it can be very small and very tiny. One guy with a SolidWorks seat who's just managing his revisions in there, right through to companies like Jaguar Land Rover, Tesla, people like that who use it to its full potential, where they're going end to end with the product's life cycle. So
They're going to have so many more with them. They'll have so many more kind of apps and software seats for across the board for everything. With obviously their teams being so much bigger as well.
Yeah, and that's it. And it brings, it brings collaboration as well to the business. That's, you are all of a sudden, every stakeholder can be involved, and involved at the correct level. So if you can be just a project manager, right? So you're on there and the projects are on there. So you can see the CAD, you can't do anything, but you can see a light version of the CAD. You can see where it's at, but you're not involved in the engineering side. Simulation analysts can be in there running the analysis and feeding that information back to the designers. So it's it offers so much, and that's the problem. There's so much it does offer. It's quite hard to like get your head around at times, but it's a very versatile tool. And I'm very much available through kind of cloud and on-premise and things like that. So cloud instances can be deployed extremely quickly. So you could, if we had 100 people suddenly wanting to do it now, then within a couple of days, you could have that stood up enterprise-wide and people starting to work on it. So it's where the future is, right? And that's where we're trying to go. So
exactly. If everything's in the same place as well, it's so much easier to get to, isn't it? So it's nice and easy, straightforward, get to what you need to get to.
Yeah, exactly.
Lean. So what's your so who out of all obviously your kind of products, just say let's call them products, what's kind of the most used? So is it what's the most kind of favorite really? Is it the CAD CAM?
Yeah, it's going to be, so you've got CAD's going to be the most popular product, what gets used out of what's in the portfolio, but mainly because CAD's the start of the journey, isn't it?
Yeah.
For a lot of what goes on. I know with what you've done and where you guys come in, it's in the machining, but a lot of your customers on here won't probably have CAD. They just consume CAD from their clients possibly, and then they run their processes. So CAD would be the most popular one, with it being so on the CAD side, we provide SolidWorks and CATIA. Yep. So if you're familiar with CATIA, it's the big brother, it's the heavy lifter. So it's when you've got huge assemblies or complex surfacing or really high-end design and engineering metrics you need to achieve. That's CATIA, but SolidWorks being the more popular one, because one, it's a very good tool and it takes care of most problems, and two, most people who come out of academia learn on SolidWorks, right? Because that's what they want. That's the tool they want. That's what they know, and they can get it moving pretty quick. So I'd say they're the most popular ones. And then what we just try to do then with clients is not make them understand how they can leverage that engineering, that data better to help them for their business to progress. So, and it's not that we, that's just added value to the relationship. We just have those conversations. An example is I spoke to a new customer this morning. We were talking about some bits, and he uses Inventor and he uses SolidWorks, and he bought SolidWorks just because of one client he has.
Yeah.
And he has 3D experience with SolidWorks. And I said, do you realize we can connect your Inventor to that platform as well, so you can do multicad? He was like, no way. I'm like, yeah, I said, these are the things you don't know, the little nuggets. So we said, we'll get Q1 out of the way, and then we'll spend some time with him demonstrating how we can unify this data in the tools he's already got. So that's kind of added engineering value we can bring to clients. So yeah.
It's nice. Obviously, you can get both of these together and make their life even easier than obviously them just coming to you for, let's say, SolidWorks, just say, and at least you'll be able to connect them with the other systems.
Yeah, it's what you want, right? It's what people need from their suppliers. It's not a transactional relationship. You've got to understand the business and their challenge. Obviously, we've got a solution that suits, great, but there's lots of other challenges and value we might be able to bring. So that it comes in all different forms of the things we do. But it's the best part of the job when you help them. There's a pain, there's a frustration, and you're like, well, actually, we could look at this, and suddenly they're like, oh, this is great. Yeah, let's go. And that's what it's about. But again, time's a challenge for all of us, right? Just time is always a challenge whenever you're on these engagements.
So it's always time and money as well. So I was going to say about obviously the cost of the seats as well. And you said you can kind of do some trials as well, can't you, for people that want to change across from other
absolutely. And for members of the hub as well, we've had a special offer running. But basically, if there's lots of different things, startup businesses, there's exclusive offers for them. There's, if people want to have a go, they can just talk to us and have a go, and that can be with anything pretty much. So if somebody wants to look at electromagnetic simulation, they want to try it out with their models, we can help them do that, right? The cost is the time to do an evaluation. So yeah, there's a lot of flexibility around that, and of course we're always very keen to help any members of the hub as well. So
cost is always a big one, especially if they're already running other systems out there and they think, oh, they don't want this unnecessary cost of trying something else, even though I say sometimes, being made aware and knowing what other tools are out there, if they've never used it before, at least then they can trial this without the extra cost. See if it's any if it's a benefit of the software or the package they're already using elsewhere. And obviously if it is a benefit, then they can obviously change across without having to that initial kind of quite large sum first of all. And
it could validate their existing workflows. They might do this and they go, well, actually, do you know what we're doing is okay. So there is that validation. It's only going to go one or two ways, right? We're okay or we're not. So if we're okay, they've had some validation, invested a bit of time, but they know they're on the right path. And if they suddenly think there's more value to be exploited in this different tool set, then they know they're making a better informed decision to start exploring it. So it's it's a good way to go, and that's the world we live in, isn't it? We can all pretty much try things before we're going to buy them now, to a certain extent. So you've got to be able to offer it in this environment. And I know, I'd certainly want to be doing the same, because software isn't, it's expensive. Software is generally expensive, isn't it? Like SolidWorks is probably one of the best priced solutions out there.
Yeah.
But you're still, if you're buying a seat of SolidWorks, you're still spending a bit of money, It's not like a few $100. So they're not decisions to be made lightly. So it's important that we aid that decision and ensure it's as solid as it can be for the client, and articulate any return on investment as well, because that's what it's about. They're not going to spend the money if it's just going to burn a hole in their pocket and not bring anything back. So
no, exactly that. I say it can be obviously expensive. Running obviously the manufacturing engineering business is very expensive. So being able to know exactly what's going to work for you first, it allows you to run with it, kind of get the ball rolling straight away.
Yeah.
So you've also got some other kind of manufacturing operations management tools.
Yes.
So how do they work with like real-time visibility and smart scheduling?
Yeah, so you have so they work with all of it. So with the manufacturing, like we'll say shop floor, right? Basically to encompass all the operations. So pick up very much from planning and scheduling. So you've got there's a couple different flavors. There's like really heavy, your advanced planning and scheduling, where you can be working to the business plans of a year out. So you can do short term, near term, mid-term, long-term, just depending on how well informed you are, and integrated into workflows with your inventory, and then push into your MES. You could have that. And then there's also some lighter versions we've seen as well. So you pick up very much, there's all the capability within planning and scheduling. And when it comes to the shop floor, so the manufacturing execution. The tool there is proficient. Like the tool we offer, I would say, it's known as a Prezo, Dalmia Prezo, which is, again, it was a MES tool. Dassault procured the business and then they incorporate it into their world.
Yeah.
And that is quite heavy, but that will do everything. There's no IoT layer in it, just for clarity, right? It's not an Internet of Things. It's just a manufacturing execution. So it's scheduling, pushing the job, following the job, and then you've got your quality, so you can have your quality gates in there, monitor your quality, your traceability, your OEE, but you can really build it out to be as heavy as you like. But we always advise to go quite light, right? Start small, think big, scale fast. That's the way we like to approach things. So yeah.
It's hard for businesses to get straight in there, isn't it? Is just get confused, and then suddenly they might just like, no, I'm not doing this. It's just too hard work. Whereas obviously building something small and gradually kind of building up to these bigger.
And for me, it's a terrifying part of it, right? Because ERP is the biggest thing across a business as we were, but anything what on the shop floor is it's a big thing to disrupt. It's a big thing to do anything with, right? So when people are looking at changing what they're doing, it's not to be taken lightly. And yeah, we always encourage when we talk to people, like, look, find an area, something really small, almost like a little POC you can do, and start with that and try and build on that, because that's going to save a lot of pain, a lot of long-term pain, if it's not right, but also some quick win value as well if they can focus there. So that's generally how we advise people to approach manufacturing softwares certainly on the shop floor.
So you'd also say for any kind of traditional UK manufacturers who's listening and want to modernise, how they're kind of running their kind of business. What do you reckon is the first kind of realistic step into what you do?
I think it's a good question, and it's, we talk about it a lot and we do a lot, but you're always learning, right? Even this morning, we're visiting a client on Monday, and me and the team were just talking about it and fine tuning what we want to go through based on what we've learned from the client.
Yeah.
And I think what's important is if anyone's serious about doing it, the first thing they need to do before they do anything is get stakeholder alignment in the business, right? So you need supply chain, you need engineering, design engineering, you need manufacturing, you need everybody aligning on it before you even consider going forwards. And that is hard on its own. That's not an easy thing to do. And depending on the scale of the business, you really, to help things go forward, you need some sort of buy-in or acknowledgement from whether or not it's a C-suite or the MD, depending on the scale of the business. Because I found the best instances are when you start to engage with that whole team, because you start to learn about everybody's frustrations collectively.
Yep.
People like, oh, well, something like, oh, I didn't realize you had that problem, and it actually pulls the business together. So you start becoming quite unified in your approach, and then companies like XDI and there's other businesses out there what do it. Then we come in and we can have that time to understand the situation, which we call the as is. What is the situation today? A bit like you with the hub. You've told me where you are here, and that's your ambition, right?
Yep.
So this is where we are today, and that's the ambition. So how do we get from here to here? And that's not just a case of buying software for manufacturers now. It's about the people on board. It's the change in the business. It's the business process. Yes, technology is a big part of it, but that's not just the answer. It's the whole package: methodology, people, business process, and technology. So that's really where we talk to organizations and try to help them. Because I went to a event last year in London put on by the manufacturer, and they said digital transformation's been embraced now in manufacturing. Like, an AI, we haven't even got onto that, but AI is being massively embraced, but adoption is killing everything, because these people are dropping millions of pounds on big software, and it's not being adopted. And I spoke to a guy who's, delivered an ERP into a business which did AGVs and stuff. And like within a year of it being launched, she goes, we've just given up on it. It's crazy, right? So adoption is key, and the only way you're going to drive that adoption is with stakeholder engagement from the leadership. I've got a great example where I was working. I was helping deliver a CRM system into the business we were in, made up of young people and older people. And I spoke with the MD before I did the kind of launching it to the team with very different. And she said to me, right, it's as simple as this. You tell people in there, if they don't get on, get off. It's as simple as that. That's the message. You either adopt this or maybe go work somewhere else because it's not going to be for you. Yeah. Ruthless, but you have to have that drive for adoption to take place. So yeah.
Is this getting the team as well? Obviously, not just the MDs and the people above. It's just getting the team below to kind of make sure that they're doing exactly what you want as well. I've seen it already.
And a part of it. Yeah, you want to be a part of it, don't you? The people kind of in the teams, they're ultimately going to be the ones putting it into practice the most. So they've got to be involved in it, and they've got to see value in it. Because even if you are faced with a new system and it's brilliant, you've still got to learn it. It's still different. Like when you go on in the morning, it looks different. You get a new upgrade on your phone and something changes, doesn't it? I know on the latest Apple upgrade, I wasn't happy. I was like, well, that's crap. I've lost a function there, what I really liked. And it's the same thing. So yeah, it's an incredibly hard thing to do. So.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's one of those, obviously they've bought into this kind of digital kind of new kind of modern way for a reason, is to make things easier. So making sure that everyone knows is to make their job easier is, it might be harder to start, but once you get into it, it's there to make your life easier.
Yeah, exactly that. And that is the point behind big transformation, digital transformation, is to it is to bring efficiencies to the business, of course. Digitization, which you need to be, and the capture, the capture of everything, but it is to make the individual's job easier and to make the individual more efficient, thus being a more valuable asset to the business. And even in cases where, I know people have a lot of scaremongering about technology replacing jobs, right? Which we know, we see some things, but generally not. What it does is actually mean that you can be used in a more valuable way. Do that mundane job you had, what you hated, might actually be taken care of now with a digital workflow, meaning you can go learn a better skill or do something more challenging or enriching as well. And that's what it helps do. And that leads to a more efficient organization. So.
It's what we're seeing. So obviously, not only just the software there, is even with like automation. That's what automation's about. It's making sure that the person at the end of the line, who used to be stacking boxes doing something boring, is now that's now being taken over by automation and allows them to do something better and more interesting.
Yeah, and with automation, as you know, it generally brings something to the arduous tasks, doesn't it? Which is nice, like you say, some of those really kind of manual repetitive tasks, which can be quite uncomfortable for a human, an operator. Automation can help take care of that, and they can be redeployed into something possibly easier on them and more interesting. So yeah, it's not to be scared of. It needs to be embraced. But
so with like the CAD, so is it cloud based or on kind of a download to a system?
Yeah, so you can have cloud-based. We are big advocates for cloud at XGI. So whenever we talk to customers, we always make sure they understand the value cloud can bring. But you can have it on, you can own the software on your laptop or on your server, or you can have it based in the cloud. And then there's lots of ways you can procure. You can subscribe to software, you can own it and pay maintenance. So there's kind of all the different ways you can have it for a little bit. Like there's people who'll buy software for us just for 3 months because they've got a particular project they need it for, and then they don't need it. So, that works out nice because they buy it, they can tie the cost directly into their project, and then they can relinquish it. Or if the project gets legs and it goes bigger, then they can just keep rolling with it. So, lots of different ways. But we are big fans of cloud, and reason being is it's a bit more flexible, but you basically, instead of spending money on the hardware or the servers or whatever you have and having to keep them up to date and quality, and you just do away with that whole cost. It's gone. It's in your subscription, and that's that's Dassault Systèmes' problem, or someone else, to make sure all the hardware and everything's taken care of there. So that's some of the value it can bring. So
What's the biggest mistake when you see with manufacturers for CAD data?
Probably going back to where we were, Rich, before, the biggest one I've seen in my time has been around the bill of materials. Basically, where the control processes aren't in place, so the wrong bill of materials is being released.
Yeah.
So off they go. Obviously, we've got a job to do, and then somewhere along the line, something's gone wrong, and what we've got sat at the end of the line, it's not what come out of, it's not what production released, and that's usually missing items more than anything. It's very rare you get like a alternative part. I mean, that could be picking error. That's quite easy to do. Again, depending on how you're picking. Are you scanning, recording? Is it just, I've picked a lot of parts in my time. Am I putting a line through a sheet, and everything's reliant on how I was that day? But that's probably with the data, one of the most common ones, I think.
I find it so one of my challenges is CAD systems or CAD drawings that are far too big, and they just want to just crash the computer, crash the software.
Yeah, that's that can certainly be a problem. And then you're into whether or not the tools can deal with it, or if your hardware's not ready. If you're on cloud, that's not a problem, right? Because the cloud's taking care of that. And that's where I said earlier, so tools have their limit. And I know we've been talking a lot about the tools really, but Onshape and everyone else, and Solid Edge and all those, all really great tools, but they have their limit. And then that's where with Siemens, NX will come in. Right. When the heavy lifting starts and the model's too big, you need NX to come in to work with Dassault. That's when CATIA gets involved. You've got thousands and thousands of components and whatnot. So so it is a frustrating problem. I know, I do hear it. I've seen it in multiple different things, from architecture, a whole building model with a lot in it, to people trying to look at piping and routing, on quite a complex model.
So have you got a few words on what you think of, say, the manufacturing industry in the UK right now? I say, especially with like Industry 4.0.
Oh, God, that is a good question, isn't it? Yeah, I can certainly say some things. I mean, what I think, it's a tough time at the moment, isn't it? It's been a tough time, I think, because of everything, right? We've still got the hangover from what's gone on in the world in the last 6 years. There's still some knock-on effects from that, I think. I don't talk politics, so I can just but we know that isn't exactly ideal for our situation. But then we do have, unfortunately, because of what's gone on, in the East and a general kind of state, that's also creating manufacturing opportunities in the UK, because we're pretty strong in defence and what we do there.
Yeah.
I think as far as where we call like Industry 4.0, Manufacturing 4.0, or smart manufacturing, or what we're talking about there, I think it's interesting because everybody knows about it. Everybody's got their interpretation of what it is. I think I think there's more appetite to explore this now. There's definitely a push towards it, I think, generally, because if you're not pushing in that direction as a business, I think that will be really worrying in 5 to 10 years. I really do. And the reason I say for that is because generally 4.0, it's about unlocking the data. Yeah. It's about connectivity and unlocking the data, from the automation, from the PLM, from the IoT, from the quality gates, from all of it. Yeah. All this data's got to be captured. And if it's captured right and leveraged, it brings big value. But the thing is, we all know AI is the big thing now, and we're doing, I haven't mentioned it, we're doing work with AI now. Yep. Everybody's talking about it. The smart manufacturing event in June. Obviously I saw you there last year, so my plan this year is to demonstrate some AI application in manufacturing. Nice. That's what we want to do, because I think people are interested in it, right?
Yeah.
So what's going to happen is 5 years, 10 years, you've got AI, you've got people who are Industry 4.0 or gone on their transformation journey, and you've got the people who are wondering. and they're going to be thinking about this, and they haven't done this yet, so they've got no chance. And I know that sounds quite harsh, it's a constant evolving journey. So I think there needs to be a bit more of a push to just start to embrace things, be brave, just because it doesn't cost money to explore, to get people, it doesn't cost money. You've just got to have a conversation. So that's kind of where I think it is. But I'd be interested just to throw the question back at you quickly. What's your position with AI in the industry? Because what do you feel?
I think it's underused. I say, especially there's so many tools out there, and I'm not just talking about like, I say, yes, yeah, people use like, everyone uses like ChatGPT and stuff like that. But
Yeah,
I mean, you're talking like industry AI and how these tools can be used.
You think about an industry now. Yeah, maybe think about with what you know firsthand from experience, or what you think the bigger picture is. But where do you think? Do you think it's you got to do it? Do you think it's just a bit of a buzzword, or what?
I think we have to start using it. I mean, there's even grants, isn't there? The government are starting doing grants to be able to kind of adopt AI and these smart kind of technologies. So I think we have to do it. It makes things more lean. And that's what we need to be as businesses in the UK. We need to be more lean. We need to be more cost effective. We need to do things quicker. It makes us more competitive as a nation.
Yes.
Especially, say, trying to compete against businesses outside of the UK. So if any of these tools we can use to make our lives easier, to make our kind of costs more cost effective, or whether it's just making bigger profits, at least then, we all can win as a nation, can't we?
Yeah, and I think that's what's important. And you pointed out a good bit there is, the race in AI. We know there's a global race of AI, right? But that's ultimately going to leave those geos even more competitive, because let's be honest, when do we get to drive costs down? We don't get to do that very often, do we? Just maintaining cost is quite a good thing, because we want businesses to be profitable, of course. Yeah. We want people to do well, but we also want consumers and to get good value for money as well. And certainly for the UK, that's incredibly important, isn't it? So yeah, I think it's good, and I don't know if we can do this on this podcast, but I'm just going to throw it out there, buddy. If anyone listens to this and has a use case in manufacturing where they think it would be good to see what value AI can bring, like, throw it in there, because that's something I'm doing at the moment, right? I'm working with our team. We've got a team on the AI side, and we're talking about what would be a really good use case to show to people. Yeah, where they're just going to go, wow, there's some incredible value there. So.
I just reached behind on this old laptop. Yes. No, it's perfect. I say, it's definitely saying I can definitely put that on, say, LinkedIn as well, and on YouTube. And I think that businesses need to kind of say, put their comments in and see where we think we should be going with AI.
Yeah, I think so, because it's a growing topic every day, isn't it? And I mean, I leverage it. I use it. I'm sure you do. I'm sure most people now, more people are probably using AI than aren't day to day for silly things like. I used it the other day because I wanted to do some baking with my kids, and I only had a certain amount of ingredients, right? I didn't know what to do. So I asked AI, and it come up with a little recipe so I could knock something up. I look like a great dad. So I wouldn't have known to do that otherwise. But even that just shows, like, what, the quick win value of 3 seconds typing on my phone, and then that's the afternoon taken care of.
Well, exactly. The thing is, it's just still a great dad, though, is it? Because if you've just spent those 3 seconds doing that rather than hours looking at something else, you've just now spent more time with the kids.
Exactly, mate. So there you go. It brought me some time back. Exactly, right? Not that it helped any manufacturers of any sort, but hey.
So what do you think is the most underused capability in engineering software?
That is a good question. Maybe I should have said to you what questions going to ask me before I come on. What do I think is the most underused technology?
Yeah, you've got quite a portfolio of software there, and you kind of know the benefits of each one. But what do you think? So tools that aren't used that you think are kind of necessary that people need to know about?
Okay. So I think, and it's probably not fair to say it's not used properly because it's quite new, I think, but I think there's a lot of a lack of awareness about it. Something I've seen, which I think is incredible, right? And it's called ModSim, which you may or may not have seen, which is model simulation. Mm-hmm. So basically what that is, so if you think when you're creating tooling or you're looking at anything like that, it's the ability to, you have your model, so you've done your design on your model, and you're like, yeah, okay, this is what it is. And then what ModSim does, it creates the workflows. You have to kind of preset them on setup. So in that same screen, so you haven't had to export any data. You haven't had to then go from engineering to the simulation analysts. Okay, in that same screen, the CAD designer or manager, engineer, the role, they just run the simulation there and then. That's what I want to run the simulation.
Yeah.
Simulation runs, they get their outputs. Those then feed back to the model to say, you need to tweak this, change that, this material's not right. So they're going backwards and forwards, modeling, simulating, modeling, simulating, which basically means the time what can be saved is incredible, right? And it's not to not have, the simulation analysts doing what they do, because they're incredibly clever people, they've had to study incredibly hard. But there's the heavy lifting simulation, and there's just what would be considered the mundane simulation on a slight design tweak, simulate it. Does it check out? So for me, that's underused because probably it's quite in its infancy, but I think a really easy value there, which can be articulated to businesses, which is time saved and faster time to market, if you want to call it that. So instead of, that's over with analysis, we've got to talk to them and find out when it's done. Well, the CAD engineer can do it there and then.
That's the thing with a lot of these tools, isn't it? It's what I find is that everything's already out there. Everyone's already thought of something. There's always a tool out there or a business out there that is kind of in there that you can use to make your life easier. So it's just awareness of, obviously now you've hopefully made people aware of this tool.
Very possibly. Yeah. And that's all any of it is, isn't it? Because there's lots and lots and lots of tools out there, right? And because we do a lot of consultancy and assessment and stuff, and obviously when we do that, that's very agnostic. That's just about the business challenge and the capability they need to solve it, or the process, which sits outside of, you need a Dassault tool. So they might not. That's the thing. Dassault has an amazing portfolio of tools, but they're not the only software vendor out there, right? And I don't mind name dropping on here, but we're working with a client and we're doing some stuff at the moment, but they wanted a particular ECAD capability. And we're like, well, Altium, you want Altium for that? And they're like, yeah, but you don't sell it. I'm like, I know, but I'll just give them a call and get them to talk to you, Again, helping the industry, right? Because it's, my client needs the right service and the solution and the help and they've trusted us to help them get there. So if our particular portfolio isn't the right fitting, well, we will make sure we can get them in the right area to get the value they need. So yeah, it's awareness. That's all it is. That's all we want, really.
And the thing is, obviously, you've now kind of recommended them, but obviously you said you give them a call. But they, in the future, obviously, those who you kind of recommend them to, so might help you out. And actually, Charlie's the guy to thank you for that.
Yeah, and I think what we try and do, and it's something we can offer as X Innovation, because we're not a massive company, right? We're not that old. We haven't been going. We started in the US and then we started up the UK operations a little over 3 years ago. Obviously, like all things, we want to scale and become a bigger business, but we're really focused on very close, personable approach. Where we're like, just one number, just ring me. What's your problem? Just call me. What do you need? Well, who do you need to talk to? And I think for businesses in our area, Rich, certainly the SME, small to medium sized businesses, doing what we do, that's incredibly important, right? Because we all deal with big businesses. I had to get a refund out of Apple this week, believe it or not. What a task that was, right? It was just painful to the point where I think I'd rather lose the money. But and that's one of the other values we want to bring, is just, if there's a problem, a good thing, a bad thing, you want a price, you want to understand something, just talk to us and we'll be able to, you ring me now and I'll be back to you in half an hour with the answers you want, whatever it may be. So I think it's what we need, more of that. We need people talking, Very
exactly.
important.
So I think I'll end of kind of most of my topics for now anyway, but is there anything you want to add about any of your kind of for your portfolio or anything to the industry?
I think not like about the portfolio, but I think really the most important thing I can say to people listening is if you've got anything you want to explore, if the business has a bottleneck or you've got a new project you're trying to win, or any of these compelling events that happen in your business where you're lacking a capability, be it technology or an understanding or a methodology, just and it doesn't have to be us, of course. There's lots of companies like X Innovation out there, right? Just go have the conversation. Just get in touch. Talk to you. You can signpost people.
Yeah.
Just have a conversation, because a half an hour conversation with a business like ours or another one will probably kill the idea, and you'll be like, absolutely no chance. You might be like, do you know what? Yeah, let's take a look at it, and that's how you start that journey. It all just starts with a very simple conversation. Half an hour of your time can be a very good thing to do, or again, you get that validation. So I think that's the best advice I can have for anyone out there, really.
So it's good to say, especially with us, so like you said, more than happy. Anyone can message me and say, look, do you know anyone for this? And I'm more than happy to kind of make that intro or literally just copy someone in, tag someone on LinkedIn or whatever it's got to be. But see, obviously part of what we're talking about now is awareness and knowing who's out there. It's obviously exactly part of why the hub exists, is to know who's out there and who does what best. That's
what you're here to do, right? That is exactly what the hub is about. It's creating that manufacturing platform, that community, that's the word I'm looking for, of people who are like-minded, and we're all on here for a reason, right? Your message is clear. We all want to talk to people in the industry, understand challenges, and of course we all want to find opportunities. So everybody who's on your platform is looking for opportunities as well, and that's the thing what's interesting. It doesn't have to be directly me talking to someone on there and getting an opportunity, or vice versa. It might be I talk to someone and I go, well, actually, I know this guy. Yeah. Talk to him. Yeah. And that's probably what people need to be aware of, which is great. Like I say, I'm working with people on the platform as customers, which is fantastic. I'm also talking to members of the platform who aren't customers of ours, but we talk. We know that if that situation arises, then I might be able to play them in, or they may be able to play us in. It's a very organic approach, but it's a much nicer approach to be talking to like-minded people. So
that's the thing, as well as obviously that's why we want it completely open. So anyone can just see anyone. We didn't want the fact of everything's locked behind closed doors. You've got to do this, you've got to pay this, everything's completely open. So obviously everyone is on there, they're being seen. But obviously, yes, you have to be a member to be part of the chat, and obviously us posting out, and obviously the external work we've got to do there. But yeah, so everyone obviously is part of the chat portal. Obviously who's ticked their box to say they want to be part of it. But more than happy for everyone to connect on there, and I say you're already using that, which is great.
Yeah, it's and just in support of what you guys do. Is we've experimented quite a lot with different platforms, and not just in manufacturing, because automotive, aerospace, agri-tech, all sorts of things I'm looking at. But what's been very refreshing, luckily, I got in quite early, so I've met you and Kev a few times, which has been nice. Need an event in the East so I can get curry, but but the point being is that I have seen you've backed up what you've promised. Okay, I've seen you make the effort, and I've also seen, I mean, not that there's been something I would go after directly, but I've seen you posting opportunities where one of your members needs something, and you're like, look, can anyone help? And that is ultimately, I hope, fingers crossed, that opened up an opportunity for hub members to work together. So you've practiced what you preach, Rich, and that's the best you can do.
Thank you. No, it's more about, we're all open. That's one thing we always try and do, is obviously it's just honesty is kind of the best policy, really. So we're always honest, and we always do what we can do. So
that's it. You can't go wrong, mate.
Exactly. So Charlie, it's been great to have you on. So it's been a long time coming. I say really excited. Kind of obviously this one we've mentioned it a few times, and I say meeting you at events as well. We said we'd get on this, so no, it's great to actually finally have you on. Yeah,
I massively appreciate the opportunity, Rich, and glad to have the chance to talk with you and talk a bit about XTI and manufacturing UK as a whole. So yeah, thank you very much, buddy.
Okay, you're welcome. Well, yeah, hopefully, I said this will be out probably in a few weeks by the time I edit it, but keep an eye out, and everyone else, thanks for listening in to the conversation, and so we'll hope to put the episode out soon, and look forward to showing it. So cheers, Charlie, thanks for being on.
Cheers, buddy. Thank you, mate. Bye bye.